Hello everyone and welcome to Code Escuela. In this video, we are going to talk about Blazor routing. So before we continue, please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so you get updated to our latest videos. So Blazor routing. So with Blazor, you can achieve routing or which allows you to navigate to your Blazor components through the use of route templates. So with route templates, you can enable your components by using the at page directive. So here we have already a running example of basic Blazor web app application. So this comes from the Blazor web app template that has its sample pages. So as you can see, there are this is the application running here, and then you can click on the links on the left that allows you to navigate to those pages which are Blazor components, right? And so how are these components uh, become navigable, right? So to do that, you have to use this at page directive, all right? So this now allows you to, or allows the page to be navigated, which means that if you check on our URL, this is what it would become, all right? So you have here the counter one. You can navigate through that by navigating to the counter, and then it will send you to the counter page, right? So this is one way of indicating that your component is navigable, right? And so this is the simplest way of doing that by setting the string or the route string after your page directive. Okay, so another way or an alternative way of doing that is through an attribute. All right, so if your route is like a fixed or static string, then you can do attribute routing. So here we have an example of an attribute, a routing that uses attribute. So here we have set the route via this constant or set of constants. Okay, if you have multiple set of constants, but this one, if you check the definition of this one, I have added a simple class within just this program.cs file, and then here a public class that has a field named literal route, and so the value of that would be literal route. Right, so this now would become your uh, URL. So if we go back to our example, we have here, I've already added a link here that would allow you to navigate to that. So if you click on attribute routing link, you can see, or you can observe that at the bottom of it, it says that localhost 7193 slash literal route. So if you click on that, then you will be navigated to that page, right? And you can also observe here that the address has the literal route uh, URL on it. Okay, so that is one way of setting up your routes for your page. Next, we're going to talk about route parameters. Parameters are one way of passing data to components via routing. So parameters can be set within curly braces and they are case insensitive. So let's go through an example here. Here we have a route parameters that raise our page. So here uh, we have the at page directive, and then you can notice that we have here a message string at the end of this uh, route. So it is enclosed within this curly braces. So this indicates that we are passing a parameter to this route, right? And then this parameter is being mapped to this property. So this property must be indicated with this attribute called parameter, all right? So uh, if you can remember, parameters are case insensitive, which means that even if you name or spell your parameter in this way, it would still map to this message property here, all right? So let's comment this first so we don't mess with our example. And so we have here the route parameter, right? So if we click on this one, you might have noticed that at the end of this URL or route, we have the hello string. So that hello string is being rendered in our page. So this one is the one that is variable or can change. So you can pass whatever data or string in this parameter, and then it will be mapped to our message property. So like if you do this, you might have noticed that our string, the parameter that has passed from this route has also been displayed here. All right, and so you can add a little more, and then yeah, it would change. So with this type of route parameter, it requires you to have a parameter, which means that if you pass nothing to this one, all right, okay, let's remove this one, route parameters, then you would end up with a page that does not exist. It's because it doesn't match the route template that has a parameter. All right, so this means that it requires you to have this section of your route. All right, now what if you want to have a route that isn't required? Then that comes where the optional parameter is. All right, so we have here an example of an optional parameter. So to make your parameter optional, you can simply append this question mark. All right, and then that would indicate that that parameter is optional. All right, so if you go back to our example here, you have this optional route optional parameters link. So if you click on that one, as you can see, the generated URL or route doesn't require you to have any data after it, right? So if you put some data on it, like what we did with the route parameter one example, then that data would get passed along. All right, but yeah, the difference would be it isn't required. So even if you navigate to this URL, nothing or no errors would happen since it is optional. Next, we'll talk about route constraints. So with route constraints, you can specify the data type of the parameter. This would allow you to limit the acceptable parameter. So let's close this one, and let's look at this route constraints that razor example. All right, so as you can see, if you focus on our add page directive here, we have set the constraint of the user ID parameter, which is mapped to a user ID property here of an integer type. All right, and so let's go back to our application running here. And so if we navigate to route constraints like this and pass in a value of 1, then you should see that that value is getting passed through this user ID, and then it's being displayed in our page. So you can pass any value as long as it's a number, then you should be able to see that parameter being passed to our page. Now, if you pass any other data type, then you should get an error or a not found error, which means that it doesn't uh, found, or it has not found any routes that maps to this kind of route. The only thing that it could find is a route that maps to a number, a route that has a parameter of a number. All right, okay, so that is one example. And again, also you can also have an optional one. So uh, you can set a optional constraint. All right, so this one is another example of a route constraint that has been set to a boolean type, boolean, which means either true or false. Okay, so again, if we try to navigate to this route and passing a true, then you should see that the passed value or parameter is set to true. So there are only two values allowed, okay, true or false. So you should get the same value for false. Again, if you pass any other data type, then you'd get an error, okay. And so that is for the route constraints. Now, with the number of data types that is supported for the route constraints, you can visit their page. I'll just show you this one. So I'll put a link on this one where you can find this list of acceptable or accepted data types for the constraints. So you have, again, the first one that we've uh, given as an example is the string one, and I mean the int or the number one. So you can have several variations of the number. You have an int and then a long int, and then you can also have the boolean ones. You can also have date time, and then you can also have decimal numbers or numbers that has decimal points in them. And you can also uh, set it as a GUID, all right? So with this kind of format of data type. So it's a GUID is an alphanumeric uh, combination of data type, okay? So globally unique uh, identifier for GUID, all right? So this, you are limited to these kinds of data types for the route constraints. Finally, we have catch-all parameters. As the name suggests, it's a parameter for all matching all other paths. So one thing to take note of catch-all parameters is that it must be a string and must be at the end of the URL. So let's take a look at an example here. So we have here catch-all route parameters.razor. And so you can apply a catch-all by adding this asterisk before your route name. And then again, this route is being mapped to this route property as a string. Since first off, you cannot use any other data type but just a string. All right. And then also take note that it must be at the end of your route. So things that are invalid as a catch-all is this one. So putting your catch-all route parameter in the middle of your route, okay? So this would cause an error, and also specifying a data type or constraint. So it's not applicable for a catch-all route since it doesn't know or doesn't know how to map data types. So that's why it's by default set as a string, right? So now if we navigate to catch-all, right? So again, this one returns empty, but if we do append something to it, starting with like this one, we have alpha Charlie Bravo, Bravo Charlie slash Charlie. So the rest of the parameter will be set as your catch-all route, okay? So you can add any number or whatever type of path here, and it will just map to that parameter. All right, so it's simple as that. So again, you cannot pass any other data type. Oops, sorry. You cannot pass any other data type like a number. Then you will just end up with so again, you can pass a number, but somehow uh, it won't be a number itself, or its internal structure or data type won't be a number, but it would be a string. All right, so this one is interpreted as a string, okay? You can still pass a boolean, but still the contents of that parameter will still be a string. So if you pass in a false, it will be a string of false, okay? So that's how the catch-all parameters. So I think we have covered much of the things that we need to understand Blazor routing, and I hope you have learned something from this one. I may not have covered all of it, maybe, including those advanced ones, but this is what we should be taking a look at, this Blazor routing. So again, if you haven't subscribed or liked this video, please do so, and it would be a great help for me. And yeah, I would like to see you again in our next video. And yeah, thank you everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye bye.